Could nuclear energy be a way out of the climate crisis? Great Britain uses this as a reason for the construction of new nuclear power plants, the costs of which the electricity customers should advance. In reality, however, there is something else behind London's enthusiasm for nuclear energy. A dispute overshadowed preparations for the COP26 climate summit, which began in Glasgow over the weekend. Both the International Atomic Energy Agency and numerous atomic energy lobby groups tried to raise the issue of atomic energy as a climate-friendly alternative to fossil fuels. With limited success, though. All attempts by the industry to get permits for stands in the conference's green zone, which is open to the public, have failed. Instead, the organizers only assigned them stands in the much quieter blue zone reserved for delegates. All applications of nuclear energy for the green zone have been rejected, complained the lobby organization World Nuclear Association in a letter to Alok Sharma, the president of the conference. We are deeply concerned. The incident illustrates the controversial position in which the nuclear energy industry finds itself in the climate protection debate. There is also international disagreement on this issue. Glowing proponents of nuclear energy like China and France oppose nuclear skeptics like Germany, Austria, and New Zealand. Proponents of atomic energy point out that nuclear power plants emit only little CO2 when generating electricity, and they praise the technology as a possible way out of the climate crisis. In addition to the military uses of the technology, critics point to the long list of accidents in nuclear power plants, for example in Sellafield in 1957, 3 Mile Island in 1979, Chernobyl in 1986 and Fukushima in 2011. In addition, there are cover-ups of incidents, corruption and the problem of disposing of nuclear waste, they say. Atomic energy lobbyists have also attacked renewable energies for years. Critics find the idea that atomic energy could be classified as a green technology as absurd. Industry also remains excluded from World Bank grants for clean energy sources. Nuclear power, on the other hand, finds support in Downing Street. Britain's Prime Minister Boris Johnson recently announced at the Tories conference that fossil fuels would be completely eliminated from British electricity generation by 2035. Renewable energies should play the central role in this. After all, the amount of electricity generated by wind power in the UK increased 715% between 2009 and 2020, most of it in Scotland. Last year, the share of wind energy in the energy mix was around a quarter. Great Britain is now home to the largest offshore wind farm in the world. Numerous other projects are being planned, but that record will go if Scotland leaves. But also nuclear energy, which currently provides around 1/6 of the electricity generated in Great Britain, is to become an integral part of their future strategy, according to the will of the London government. If it weren't for a problem, there is a lack of nuclear power plants. The few that are currently in operation will go offline in the coming years. Only one power plant is currently under construction near Bristol. The French state-owned company EDF is building one of the largest nuclear power plants in Europe at Hinkley Point C, together with the state-owned China General Nuclear Power Group, the CGN. 2 more power plants with Chinese participation were being considered in Sizewell and Bradwell, northeast of London. But as relations between London and Beijing have clouded over in the past 2 years, the British government is currently working to keep the Chinese out of these and all future nuclear energy projects. This not only threatens the UK with a serious technology problem. For financial reasons too, London has been struggling for years to keep its ailing nuclear energy sector alive at all. Attempts to get more foreign investors on board failed. Both the South Korean utility company Capco and the Japanese corporations Hitachi and Toshiba have abandoned plans to build nuclear power plants in Great Britain in recent years. One of the main problems each time was startup funding. For the construction of Hinkley Point C, the Conservative government under David Cameron reached a controversial financing agreement with EDF in 2013. EDF is to receive a guaranteed electricity price of £92.5 per megawatt hour from London for 35 years. If the market price falls below this amount, electricity customers across the country have to pay the difference in the form of a special levy, regardless of whether they are EDF customers or not. British electricity customers could subsidize the project with a double-digit billion amount. That caused a lot of criticism, but even these extremely generous donations were apparently not enough to attract more major investors to the country. Therefore, the government in London conjured up a plan a few days ago. According to this, the country's electricity customers will be asked to pay again in the future, but this time in advance, and thus partially pay the investors for the construction of the expensive nuclear power plants. Energy Minister Kwasi Kwarteng presented plans for a law that would transfer part of the construction costs directly to consumers, whether they want it or not. London could also use this mechanism to get directly into the planned power station in Sizewell. We urgently need an approach to attracting UK funding and other private investors to support new large nuclear power plants, said Kwarteng. Energy Secretary Greg Hunt said the new law would help the country build the new nuclear power plants we need to ensure a resilient low-carbon electricity system for future generations. Well, the government in London generally hides what else is behind the enthusiasm for this supposedly climate-friendly technology. The country's nuclear weapons program. In order to maintain its manageable nuclear arsenal with some degree of independence, Great Britain depends on a civilian nuclear energy sector. And I'll see you in my next video. Bis gleich.